Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for being here. I can assure you my actual business experience is not nearly as impressive as he just made it sound. I am the oldest of my dad's 5 boys. And you're lucky because I'm also the favorite of the 5 boys. So, just don't let my brothers hear me saying that. But by the way, I also have 5 boys. And no matter what, I also had a girl. So no matter what my dad accomplishes, I've always accomplished more than he ever did. And my daughter makes sure I know that every day. My 2 youngest are twin boys. They are 5 months old, David and William. They are a lot of fun, but a lot of work. And this is our timing could have been a little better. Having twins in 2012 was maybe not the best idea for my wife and myself. It's funny. This is the first campaign I haven't worked full time on the campaign trail for my dad, because I've got a small business back at home and 6 kids. And so I told him, I said, you know, I can't go on the road as much as I have in the past. But I told the campaign I'd spend the last couple of months doing whatever they needed me to do, and they took me at my word. They gave me a schedule. I thought they'd send me out a day or 2 a week. They sent me out. They gave me a schedule that has me on the road 7 days a week. That's not. They gave me Sunday afternoons off to do my laundry, and so I looked at that schedule and I thought, well, my first thought was, my wife's going to kill me, because with 6 kids, me being gone all the time, she's going to have to raise those kids without me for these next couple months. And so I brought that schedule to her. I said, Jen, what do you think? And she looked at the schedule and she said, you know what, Tagg, there is nothing you can do more important for our kids than getting your dad elected president. I think she's right. And by the way, she wasn't just talking about our kids. She's talking about all kids in America. This election is so important, so critical. You have 2 candidates who have very different visions, very different backgrounds and experiences. You have the one, my dad is 25 years in business. He was pretty successful there. The Democrats think that's a bad thing to have been successful in business. I don't quite understand why that is. On the other hand, you have President Obama, who spent 1 year in the private sector. You know what he said about that 1 year? He said it was like working behind enemy lines. Think about that. That's his attitude towards American business. You have one candidate. By the way, Barack Obama talks a big game now about wanting to cut into that deficit. And it's ironic, isn't it? I mean, he's had 4 years to do it. I don't know if he remembers, but he's actually been president for the last 4 years. He could have done something about that deficit. Instead, he added $5 trillion to the budget gap. You think about that, $5 trillion that these guys are going to have to pay back when they're working. It's just, on the other hand, you got my dad, who has spent his time fixing budget messes. Everywhere he's gone in business, he started companies or he turned around troubled ones. He took over the Olympics, had a $400 million budget gap. He left it with a $100 million surplus. Same thing in Massachusetts. He took over as a Republican governor in a blue state. By the way, there are more of us here today than there are Republicans in Massachusetts. And the reason he was able to win, by the way, was people ask me, how does a Republican win in Massachusetts? 13% registered Republicans there. And the reason he was able to win, when he was done with the Olympics, they had a $3 billion, Massachusetts was looking at a $3 billion budget deficit. And the Democrats who were running all had the same answer for that problem. So they don't want to guess what the answer was.
Raise taxes.
Raise taxes. You guys are smart. Their answer was raise taxes. When my dad said, you know what, instead of raising taxes, we're going to cut taxes and we're going to cut spending. The Boston Globe and his opponents said, well, you don't know how to do math. And my dad said, well, you know, I've done okay in what I've done before. I think I know how to do math. And my dad was right. He won. The people of Massachusetts decided when it came to their own pocketbook, they weren't quite as liberal as they made out to be. They wanted lower taxes, not higher ones. And so they elected him. He worked with a legislature that was 87% Democrat. And at the end of his 4 years, he cut taxes over and over again. He cut spending. He kept important programs in place to help those who were most in need. But at the end of his he cut the waste and things out that we didn't need. And at the end of his 4 years there, he left the state with a $2 billion rainy day fund. And think about that, from a $3 billion budget deficit to a $2 billion rainy day fund. I think we need someone like that in Washington, D.C. today. Yeah. We need someone who doesn't just walk the walk, but who doesn't just talk the talk, but can walk the walk as well. My dad knows how to walk. He knows how to get those things done. We've got someone in there right now who talks a big game, but his rhetoric doesn't match his record. He talks about wanting to get people back to work and talking about getting the deficit down. And you look at what's happened. We've got a chronic jobs problem in this country. Real incomes have decreased by $4,500 for Americans over the last 4 years. $16 trillion in debt. If you guys start counting right now and you can get to 16 trillion, by the time I'm done talking, I'll have a big prize for you. That is a big number. I don't know if we realize how big that number is. And we need someone who can fix that. So that's the first reason to vote for my dad is he knows what he's doing. He's good at what he does. He's smart. He's done it before. He won't just talk the talk. He'll actually get things done. The second reason, and it's the main reason I like to be on the road talking for him, is somebody that I can talk to in addition to his competence. Anyone can get up here and tell you how good he is. But I also want to tell you, in addition to being really smart, he's also a really good man. And he loves his country. He loves his family. I can tell you he loves my mom as much as I've ever seen anyone love their spouse. She loves him back the same way. He loves his 18 grandchildren. But in addition to loving his family, he also loves his neighbor. And not just the one who lives next door to him, but all of God's children. And the reason he's running, the reason he's in this race, is he believes he can do something to help God's children. And he recognizes the tough circumstances that this country's in, and he wants to do something about it. He thinks it's immoral to be passing on $16 trillion of debt to the next generation. He thinks it's immoral that there are 23 million Americans who are out of work or underemployed. He thinks it's immoral that there are people who are in jobs for which they're overqualified, or that they're working 3 part-time jobs to be able to put food on the table. He recognizes that Americans deserve better than what we've got right now, and we shouldn't settle. This is a great nation, and we can continue to be great and if our leaders take us in the right direction. We have shown over and over again the ability to do great things. And by the way, on that point, I'd like to pause just for a second. Do we have any veterans here today? Can we have a round of applause for our veterans? Talk about people who have sacrificed and done things for this country. Thank you for your service. You've made this nation a better place. The reason my dad is running is he wants us to be a safe, prosperous, free nation for generations to come. Barack Obama is talking about cutting $1 trillion out of the military. Think about what that'll do. He joked the other day that it doesn't matter that we continue to cut back on the number of ships we have in our Navy because it's like bayonets and horses. You think, does he not realize how important those aircraft carriers and ships are to keeping us safe and to keeping the world safe? So anyway, that's the second reason is that my dad, I think, in addition to being really qualified, is a really good man. I thought I'd tell you one story about that kind of illustrates that point, and then I'll stop bragging about him. It was in the early '90s, I think, and he got a call in his office from one of his partners. Bob Gay was his name. And Bob worked in Connecticut and commuted up to Boston from Connecticut, but he was close to New York City. And he called and said, Mitt, I'm not going to be able to be in the office this week. My 14-year-old daughter has gone missing, and I need to stay back and try to help find her. What had happened was she had asked her parents the night before if she could go to a party. They told her no, and it was in New York City. And she went anyway. She snuck out when they were in bed, went to the party, and then when they woke up, she wasn't there. They called her friends. Her friends said, well, and we went to the party with her, but we don't remember her coming home. And so Bob was going to stay and look for her. Well, I don't know what most of you would do when your partner, your business colleague called and said, I can't come in because I'm doing this. My reaction would be, oh, Bob, I'm so sorry to hear that. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. Good luck to you. Keep us informed. If you know my dad, that's not his reaction. He doesn't just listen to people's problems. He gets involved and does something about them. And he called a company meeting. He said, I'm going to go to New York City and help Bob find his daughter. I want to know who's with me. And all 30 hands in the company went up and said, we'll come with you. And so they shut the office down. They flew down to New York. They got some office space there. And then my dad organized a search mission. They divided up the city into quadrants. And they sent everybody out into a different quadrant armed with stacks of flyers. Because, what else do you do? And they passed these flyers out. The flyers had a picture of her with a number to call if you had any information. And a picture and a phone number, and a reward for any information leading to finding her. And after a couple of days, the media started picking up that there were all these people all over the city passing out these flyers. And so they started running the stories. And there was a boy that saw the news and called into the number and said, how much information do I have to give in order to qualify for that reward? And the police said, they started asking him some more questions, and he got nervous and he hung up. Well, they had him on long enough that they were able to trace that call. And turns out he had been friends of the boy who had kidnapped her. And he had kidnapped her and tied her up and put her in his basement. And you think, now they were able to go rescue her. And she now she's married, and she has children of her own, and she's recovered from those things. I don't know if you ever fully recover. But you think about her, and I was talking to her a few months ago. She said, Tagg, I don't think they ever would have found me had your dad not got involved. And you think about the difference that he made in her life and what he was able to do for her and for her family. And the reason I tell that story is people ask my dad all the time, he does so much good for people. How come he doesn't go around talking about it? And it's because he was raised not to talk about those things. When you do something good, you don't go around bragging about it. That's what his mom and dad taught him. So I can do it for him. I could tell you dozens and dozens of stories of people's lives he's gotten involved with and made a difference. And done something dramatic in their lives, whether it was spending time with them or helping them if they were in a tough financial situation and making a real difference for them. You can't solve everybody's problems, but you can do your best to help the people that God puts in your path. And that's what he's done his best to do in his life. So, I got a question for all of you. Are we going to win in Virginia?
Yes!
That's what I like to hear. We are going to win in Virginia. This election is critical. We have two very different visions and two very different people who are running. And I'm confident that America is going to recognize the difference in the choices that they've got. I feel confident we're going to win here in Virginia and North Carolina and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Nevada and Iowa and Colorado, all across all the swing states all across this country. And by the way, and Florida, thank you. Can't do it without Florida. I don't even count that as a swing state anymore. But in order for us to do that, my dad's going to have to work his heart out right up until November 6th. And my mom is going to have to do the same thing. And I will commit to you, I will do everything that I can to get him elected. But I need all of you here to do everything that you can do. Make phone calls. Talk to your neighbors. Convince them to vote for the right guy. And once you do that, make sure that they vote. If they're going to, well, I won't say what to do if they're voting for the other guy. Do everything you can to get. This is going to be an election about turnout. I think the polls that they've got up there. I know the polls in Virginia have got us up. I think they're undercounting our support here. I think they're undercounting how much support we've got. I think they're undercounting how much enthusiasm there is, not only for turning out the guy that's there, but for putting Mitt Romney in the White House and getting this country back on its feet. So if you will make a commitment to me to doing everything that you can, there's only 13 days left. Get online, make a small donation if you can. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. Do everything that you can. That will bring us over the edge. Turn this enthusiasm into votes. Thank you for being here. God bless our country. God bless you. And let's go get it done. Thanks, everybody.